We're back! And today we're making another art caddy. If you watched any of my other videos, you probably remember that I built one of these about 6 months ago. That project was something my wife thought I needed to do to corral some of the watercolor supplies that were taking up space on the coffee table. She meant that I should get rid of them, or find them someplace else to be. I went ahead and went another way and built a caddy to organize them all into one place. I used that original version for a few weeks and then I realized that one was a little too small, which is how we wound up here. But just because I wanted it to be a little bit bigger doesn't mean I wanted it to be different, which sort of makes you wonder what's the point of making a video about building it? Because literally they're the same thing, right? Wrong. First, the pen and brush storage is a little bit different, so there's that. The old one had holes drilled in it. This one just has like pockets for them to drop down into. Secondly, version 1.0 was built using the table saw to make all the rabbits and dados, while this version relies on the router. Some people hate using the router, me included, but it's also probably the best way to get a consistent depth and width to the dados, so as long as you're using the router table, you can take most of the danger out of it, or the things out of it that people hate. Now, I've cut dados and rabbits on other projects with the router and had pretty good results. So when I decided to use it here, it was really just to make the project a little more interesting and a little more consistent. So you might be wondering why it is I'd even need an art caddy. I mean, isn't woodworking my hobby? Simple answer to that is yes, woodworking is my hobby. But the longer answer is really that I have a lot of hobbies. Some of them come and go, some of them stay. Before all this, I was into a lot of different things. I've tried lino cutting things. In fact, I spent several months working on lino cuts for a book that I wrote. Those would go on the chapter breaks. And there were a lot of them, and it kind of burned me out because I did them all in a short period of time. Incidentally, you can find the link for my book in the description below if you really care. So after the lino cuts, I kind of got into wanting to do something a little more consistently, like in a low-key but consistent way, where I was going to challenge myself to do some drawing or watercolor work, try to do that every day for a year. Didn't really stick with the everyday part of it, but I came pretty consistent since I started it, and I've definitely gotten better at it, but I wouldn't say I've gotten good. There are some things that I've done that I am pretty proud of, and you can see here on screen as one of them. It looks good to me. It's actually pretty simple to do, so I don't know how excited to get about it. Nevertheless, while I've gotten better, I haven't quite figured out what my style is, but I know that realism is never it. So obviously, as anyone with a hobby will know, the longer you get into it, the more stuff you collect. Woodworking, it's more tools and clamps, which you will see it towards the end of this video when this project is being clamped up. I devote a lot of clamps to clamping it. Anyway, when it comes to art, it's more brushes, more paper, more paint, more pens, things like that. I'm not quite to the point of needing a special room to corral all that stuff in, but obviously some bigger storage area for it is better, which is why I wound up with what you see here. And while it works well, it probably won't be long before I outgrow this one too, and I'll probably wind up needing to make another. That's just kind of the way these things go. You don't know what you need till you try something and see how that works. Also, if you're concerned that I took the old one and just threw it away or burned it or broke it down and put it into something else, I assure you I didn't. I actually took it to work and I use it there on my desk for pens and post-it notes and things like that, and it works really well for that. So I suspect if this one ever needs to be replaced, it's going to wind up on my desk too, doing pretty much the same thing.